Okay, here's the second problem. We're learning phase shift and vertical shift. We're having the general form for the equations of graphing these sine and cosine trig functions. Okay, number 2 is going to be y is equal to 4 sine parentheses theta over 4 plus 2 pi over 3 minus 1. And that would be nice if you could see it. There it is. All right. So make sure it's written and it follows the general form. I'm going to write the general form right under it. Y is equal to a sine parentheses b theta plus 2 pi, plus c, right? There should be some copying it over, sorry. I want to see where's A, B, C, and D. So this is A, this is B, this is A, this is B, this is C, and then plus D. Okay, you got to see that, those A, B, C, and D values. Well, from here I know that A is equal to 4. That's my amplitude easy. From here, remember this is a 1/4 theta. So here B is going to be equal to what? Just 1/4. You don't need to write, like if it was an x, it would be 1 over 4x. It's just be 1/4. So here it's just 1/4. You don't need the little theta or the x. Okay, so B is 1/4. I didn't write the 1/4, right? C is what? Well, it's right there. 2 pi over 3, right? And D is what? -1. So you're going to have to find amplitude and period, which we've done before. Amplitude is 4. This is not the period. Remember, to find the period, you have to use that little formula. Period is 2 pi over the value of B, which is going to be 2 pi divided by what? 1/4. Okay, and this is where you got to do a little side work. How do you do this? 2 pi divided by 1/4. So that's going to be 2 pi over 1 divided by, and then this 1/4. Right, and show this step. Don't right away go into the multiply, because I know some of you can do that. That'll be 2 pi over 1 times the reciprocal 4 over 1. So this is going to give us 8 pi over 1, which is 8 pi. So I got the period. Period is 8 pi. Okay. That's not the new stuff. The new stuff is the C and the D. Let me go ahead and take care of this one, the first one. Remember this D, this number out here is your vertical shift. Vertical shift is how much it moves up and down. So here, if it's a positive value, you're moving up. If it's negative value like this, -1, that tells me that my vertical shift, if it's -1, that means what? Your vertical shift is what? 1 unit. Well, remember, if it's positive, it's moving up. If it's negative, it's 1 unit what? Down. 1 unit down. That's a vertical shift. Now let's do the phase shift, the last one. This is the one that's going to take some work. The phase shift. Another little formula. And that formula is -C over B. That's going to be negative something divided by something. What is my C value? I'll put PS for phase shift. C is 2 pi over 3 divided by B, which is 1/4. And again, here's where you got to do side work. I know it's going to be a negative, right? So that's going to be, how do we do this? It's the top one divided by the bottom one. 2 pi over 3 divided by this fraction divided by this fraction. And that'll be 2 pi over 3 times 4 over 1. That's going to be what? 8 pi over 3. That's your phase shift. Oh, and remember it has a negative, so negative 8 pi over 3. All right, let's do the last one. Number 3. All right. We got y is equal to negative 1 plus 3 cosine parentheses 3 pi minus pi over 6. Oh, that's it. Okay, copy that down. And what you're going to notice is it's not in this form that I want it to be. Why? Well, instead of putting the d over here, the plus or minus this number by itself over here at the end, they wrote it over here in the front, and now it looks a little weird. So I'm going to rewrite it because it just looks a little bit awkward, right? So really, I should have this part first and this number in the back. 3 cosine parentheses 3 pi minus pi over 6 minus 1. Okay, now this matches. Here's A, here's B, here's C, here's D. Right? So again, they just wrote this over here just to throw you off. Just write it over here. Okay, so my amplitude, A is 3. Well, let me just get the values. A is 3. B is also what? 3. C is a negative. See? It's a negative because it has a negative sign. Negative pi over 6. And the D is what? Negative 1. Okay. Remember, we've already been talking about A and B. That's for amplitude and period. I know my amplitude is 3. That's easy. I know the period is not 3, but to find the period, you're going to use 2 pi over the value of B. So my period is going to be what? 2 pi over 3. Well, that's it. There's no work to do. 2 pi over 3 is your period. And I'm going to go ahead and do this one real quick because that's easy. That's your what? Remember, this is your vertical shift, this number out here. Your vertical shift if it's negative 1, what does that mean? 1 unit what? Remember, vertical, it moves the graph up and down, so 1 unit down, right? Negative is down, positive is up. Vertical shift, 1 unit down. Here's what I gotta find. That's gonna take a little bit of work here. The phase shift. This is the one that's tricky. The phase shift. Phase shift. There's a formula for this. What is it? It's a little formula, just like you had a formula for the period. It's negative C over B. That means it's gonna be negative, right, PS, phase shift, negative of something divided by something. And if you notice, your C also has a negative. Don't forget, that's negative pi over 6. And 3 for B, right? C is negative pi over 6, B is 3. Well, obviously this negative and this negative are going to make it positive, right? My phase shift is going to be positive. I know it's going to be positive something. Now I got to do this work. How do I do this? Pi over 6 divided by a 3. Well, we've been doing this already long enough. Pi over 6 divided by 3, that would be divided by 3 over 1. That would be pi over 6 times what? 1 over 3, right? The reciprocal. So that'll be pi over 18. Pi times 1 is pi, 6 times 3 is 18. Pi over 18. All right, that's the phase shift, pi over 18. Okay, and we're just getting these values right. That's all you're learning today. You don't have to graph. Just know how to understand the general form. Know which one's A, B, C, D. And you've already learned A and B. You use that for the amplitude and the period. This was new, the vertical shift, and how to use the C and the B value to find the phase shift. All right, there you go.